I got into medical billing without knowing anything about the things that I'm going to tell you today. And good thing it worked out. I really love medical billing, as you may know. If you are not new, if you're new, you'll find out. But today I'm going to go over why medical billing may just not be for you. Keep watching. The first reason is that you are a poor investigator. Now you might be saying, this is medical billing. What are you talking about? I'm not getting into being a private investigator or, whatever. But when it comes to medical billing, you really do have to be a good investigator. You need to look into things. You can't take things for face value. You need to figure out why something has been done. There may be rules and regulations that say that a certain thing goes a certain way, but there are plenty times that it will not go that way, and you need to investigate and prove that it should go another way. Now, don't let that scare you, because for the most part, it doesn't go like that. But there are times when you really have to investigate and see who did something, why they did it, how it happened. Even simple things like a patient's insurance. A patient may have had an insurance from one time to the next, but then an insurance company may decide that they're not going to pay for it because they said that the patient's employer didn't pay for it. And you just have to do a whole investigation issue. The patient may have said, no, I was paying Cobra and I did pay for it. So things could just get really intense, and you may have to do some deep investigating to figure out what needs to go on. So if you are a poor investigator, then medical billing is not for you. And the second reason that medical billing may not be for you is if you don't like people. Now, I hope you like some people because we live in this world full of people and you don't want to be alone. But what I mean is when you are at your job, maybe you would prefer to work alone. You don't really get along with people. That's not a medical biller. A medical biller needs to get along with so many different types of people. And let me explain. You need to be able to talk to the front desk, to the doctors, to the coders, to patients, to other billers, to insurance companies. How can I forget them? You have to talk to so many people. So you really do need to be able to like people. And if you don't like to talk to them, you may tend to put off stuff. You may tend to do things because, maybe you don't like to talk to the front desk. So you say, I'll just fix it myself. And, if you have a medical billing business and you are providing medical billing services for several providers and you're just fixing all of the front desk mistakes, I would not suggest that, because that is not a good use of your time. You need to be able to speak to the front desk, to speak to your doctors or the providers. You need to be able to speak to the insurance companies and get what you need from them, because each of these people will affect your job and if you do it well or not. The third reason medical billing may not be for you is if you do not like repetitive tasks, if you find them to be boring. Because really and truly, medical billing is very repetitive. The patients are different, the scenarios are different, but for the most part, it is repetitive. You send out the claim, you post payments, you follow up on the claim, you call patients, for their balances, or you send out statements. It's pretty much the same thing. So it can get very repetitive. Now, I remember when I first started out and we had to do posting payments, and we posted payments manually. We didn't have all of this automated, systems and AI to help us. We had to post payments manually. And for me, I kind of liked it because, it was kind of where I can zone out. After I really learned it well, I could kind of zone out and just do it. But it was times when I was just bored because I had to put in pages and pages of posting payments. But I love to post payments. I like numbers, so that helps as well. But just for an example, that may be something that you find very repetitive. Even if you are in a specialty that maybe doesn't have too many codes, the diagnosis, the CPT codes are pretty much the same. So things could probably get repetitive. So if you are not one who likes that, maybe you like to be creative and have new scenarios, do all of that. You can't be too creative with medical billing. Things are kind of what they are. So you're not kind of like reinventing the wheel when it comes to submitting a claim. You either submit a claim electronically or by paper, or you fax it, but it's pretty much what it is. So if you get bored pretty easily, medical billing may not be for you. The fourth reason why medical billing may not be for you is if you don't like to teach. So I'm not saying that you're going to be a teacher that has a curriculum and you have to teach people every day. You really don't. But especially if you have a medical billing business, you will be teaching other people at some point. Now, this could be a part of your services as far as consulting and training, but even if you're not offering those types of services, you will be teaching some way. At least in my experience, it has been that way for me. I have always had to teach someone in the practice when it came to billing for the providers that I bill for. Whether that's the front desk or the provider themselves, I have had to teach someone because most of the times with small practices, people or the staff are kind of just thrown into it. The providers really don't know about billing or how to do it. And if you want your job to run smoothly, which I'm assuming you want to, because you're going to have a lot of providers that you will be billing for, or, even if it's 2 or 3 providers, and you want to be as efficient as possible. So you're going to have to teach them things that they may be doing wrong. You don't want them to continue to do the same thing wrong over and over again, because then it's going to affect you and you're going to have to keep fixing it or, telling them what to do. Teaching them doesn't necessarily mean to have a full blown out teaching session or a full blown out course, but you're going to have to teach the provider and the staff what they're supposed to do, especially if they are doing things wrong and you can continuously see that they're doing it. You may think that a practice is supposed to train certain people, which they are supposed to, but it doesn't always happen that way. So just remember, if you don't like teaching other people, then you probably don't want to get into medical billing. If you've heard some of these reasons and you're kind of like, maybe 1 or 2 of them sound like me, and you're just kind of figuring out, have a little bit more questions, want to know, is medical billing right for me? Can I start a medical billing business and I actually like what I'm doing? Don't forget to schedule your remote one-on-ones with me. I have 45-minute sessions and we can just discuss anything you want to know about starting a medical billing business, what it may entail, how you need to start it, all of those good things. So if any of those was like, it may be me that she's talking about, make sure you schedule that remote one-on-one. It fills up pretty quickly and I don't want you to miss out. The 5th reason medical billing may not be for you is if you cannot communicate. Again, communication is key. Now, communication in general, for me, I believe is key, whether you're dealing with regular personal relationships or work relationships, but it really is important when it comes to medical billing. Again, you will be speaking to many types of people. And in speaking with them, you're going to have to communicate to them in their language, their way. So speaking to a provider versus speaking to the front desk, there are 2 ways to communicate. It's not going to be the same way. And then speaking to a patient is another way. And speaking to the insurance company is another way. So you're going to have to be able to speak to each of these people so that you can then get your work done and get things done so that you can work efficiently and effectively. When I started out in medical billing, I was kind of bad with communicating. I felt like, oh, you should know this, or, why is the insurance companies doing this? I used to get mad and I used to sometimes not talk to them very friendly, and that didn't help me at all. I had to learn that when you communicate with people, you can say what you need to say in a specific way or in a certain way without making that person feel bad or feel like they're stupid or feel like they should know something. If they start to feel like that, they're probably not going to want to help you. So you really need to learn how to communicate, and also communicate in a way where they can understand what it is that you need from them. Because if you're flying over their heads with all types of words and, acronyms and all of those things, then they're still not going to work with you because they just don't understand what you're talking about. So communicate, communicate, communicate. If that's not one of your strong points, you can build it up, but it's something that you're going to have to learn to do if you want to be efficient and effective as a medical biller. And to piggyback off of that one, the sixth reason why medical billing may not be for you is if you are mean. Again, I just spoke about how I was speaking to insurance payers. Now, I'm not a mean person. I don't think I ever have been, but I can be rough, or I can have a rough demeanor, especially if I'm frustrated. I can get loud. I mean, some of us can. I bet we can, and we have to work on that. But being mean to others, or like I said, making them feel belittled or like they should know better, it's not going to help you at all. And so if you are a medical biller and you're mean, that is not two things that should go together. I'm not going to say you shouldn't be mean at all. So I'm not going to say there's a time or a place when you should be mean. But if you were a medical coder where you don't necessarily have to talk to that many people, you're kind of just in your own zone, reading charts, you have to, communicate with the provider, but you may not have to communicate with them face to face. You might have a better chance. But if you are mean and you're trying to talk to all of these people, payers, providers, patients, especially patients, don't be mean to a patient. They will not pay you at all, even if they love the provider or love the services. So if you are mean, you also need to fix that trait before you decide to become a medical biller. The seventh reason that medical billing may not be for you is if you are not a researcher. If you find researching boring, you don't want to do it, you just want whatever you need in your face right now, then I don't think medical billing is for you, at least in my opinion. You always have to be researching. And if you have a medical billing business and you have a billing business that has different specialties that you're billing for, and you have to figure these specialties out, because billing is kind of tricky. I may be the best at billing for OBGYN, but when it comes to billing for physical therapy, I have a little bit of problems. I have a little bit of issues. I need to research more than I would because I know OBGYN billing. But either way, whether it is a specialty that you know or you don't know, you're gonna have to research at some point. There are so many things that are changing in medical billing all of the time, from this payer to the next. And I'm telling you, it is crazy. But you have to be willing to research to make sure, number one, that you're doing the right thing. You don't want to take anything by face value. If maybe someone told you this years ago, you just continue to build that certain way. You want to be able to research and make sure that, is this still relevant, or is this still up to date? Do I need to change the way I do certain things? And this all comes from researching information about the specialty, about, modifiers, all the things that you need to know when it comes to billing. The eighth reason that medical billing may not be for you is because you are not detailed oriented. Now, I don't know if this is a type A personality thing, or I don't know, whatever they call it, but I have known some people who details are not that important for them. They might need to just know the overall gist of stuff and they're good. Even simple things like change. They don't want to deal with change. If this is $45.69, I'll just give you the $49, or I'll give you $50. I don't really need to do all that change. That, for me, is not a good way in medical billing. In medical billing, you will be dealing with numbers all of the time. Especially if you are really doing the duty of a medical biller, you will be dealing with numbers all of the time. And you need to be extremely detail oriented. That's whether you are posting payments, whether you are Even if it's automated or if it's manual, when you post the payment, you need to look at the numbers as far as what was the billed amount, what was the allowed amount, is the allowed amount correct? What is the copay? Is the copay correct? Did it go to the deductible? Are the units correct? Is what you billed what is on the EOB? Like, there are just so many things. Is the check or the ACH that was deposited into your account also what was on the paper, or what matches in your system is what also was in the bank? You need to be detail oriented, and you need to be detailed down to the penny, in my opinion. So if that is something that you find tedious, that you find that you don't like to do, that you can kind of skip things here or there, then I would recommend that you do not go into medical billing. But if you are interested still in medical billing, and you're even thinking about starting your own medical billing business, don't forget to download your free medical billing business checklist so that you can have all the steps that you need to start that medical billing business with success. I'll see you in my next video.